Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. The Heir of Slytherin. A patch of scarlet swarm passed, and Harry heard a soft clatter of claws beside him. "Fawkes," said Harry thickly. "You are brilliant, Fawkes." He felt the bird lay its beautiful head on the spot where the suspense fangs had pierced him. He could hear echoing footsteps, and then a dark shadow moved in front of him. "You're dead, Harry Potter," said Riddle's voice about him. "Dead. Even Dumbledore's bills know it. Do you see what he's doing, Potter? He's crying." Harry blinked. Paul's cat split in and out of focus. Thick, pearly tears were trickling down the glossy feathers. "I'm going to sit here and watch you die, Harry Potter. Take your time. I'm not in a hurry." Harry felt drowsy. Everything around him seemed to be spinning. "So ends the famous Harry Potter," said Riddle's distant voice. Alone in the Chamber of Secrets, forsaken by his friends, defeated at last by the Dark Lord, he so unwisely challenged. "You'll be back with your dear Mudblood Potter soon, Harry. She brought you 12 years of borrowed time. But Lord Voldemort got you in the end, as you knew he must." "If this is dying," thought Harry, "it's not so bad." Even the pain was leaving him. But was this dying? Instead of going black, the chamber seemed to be coming back into focus. Harry gave his head a little shake, and there was Fawkes, still resting on his head on Harry's arm. A pearly patch of tears was shining all around the wand, except that there was no wand. "Get away, Bud," said Riddle's voice suddenly. "Get away from him. I said get away." Harry raised his hat. Riddle was pointing Harry's wand at Fawkes. There was a bang like a gun, and a Fawkes took flight again in a whirl of gold and scarlet. Picture. The picture. Picture. "Phoenix tears," said Riddle quietly, staring at Harry's arm. "Of course, healing powers. I forgot." He looked into Harry's face. "But it makes no difference. In fact, I prefer this way. Just you and me, Harry Potter. You and me." He raised the wand. Then, in a rush of wings, Fawkes soared back overhead, and something fell into Harry's lap. The diary! For a split second, both Harry and Riddle, wand still raised, stared at it. Then, without thinking, without considering, as though he had meant to do it all along, Harry seized the basilisk fan on the floor next to him and plunged it straight into the heart of the book. There was a long, dreadful, piercing scream. Ink sputtered out of the diary in torrents, streaming over Harry's hands, flooding the floor. Riddle was writing and twisting, screaming and failing, and then he had gone. Harry's wand fell to the floor with a clatter, and there was silence. Silence except for the steady drip of ink still oozing from the diary. The basilisk venom had burnt a sizzling throat right through it. Shaken all over, Harry pulled himself up. His head was spinning as though he'd just traveled miles by flue powder. Slowly, he gathered together his wands and the sorting hat and, with a huge tug, retrieved the glittering sword from the roof of the basilisk's mouth. Then came a faint moan from the end of the chamber. Ginny was staring. As Harry hurried towards her, she sat up. Her bemused eyes traveled from the huge form of the dazed basilisk over Harry in his blood-soaked robes, then to the diary in his hand. She drew a great, shuddering gasp, and tears began to pour down her face. "Harry, oh, Harry, I tried to tell you at breakfast, but I couldn't say it in front of Percy. It was me, Harry. But I swear, I didn't mean to. Riddle made me. He took me over, and how did you kill that thing? Well, where's Riddle? The last thing I remember is him coming out of the diary." "It's all right," said Harry, holding up the diary and showing Ginny the fanghole. "Riddle's finished. Look, him and the basilisk. Come on, Ginny, let's get out of here."
Ті, читай, куди ти йдеш.
Добре, ти мене крутиш кудись. "I'm going to be expelled," Ginny wept as Harry helped her awkwardly to her feet. "I've looked forward to coming to Hogwarts ever since Bill came, and now I have to leave and... Wait, what will Mum and Dad say?" Fawkes was waiting for them, hovering the chamber entrance. Harry urged Ginny forward. They stepped over the motionless coils of the dead basilisk, through the echoing gloom and back into the tunnel. Harry heard the stone doors close behind them with a soft hiss. After a few minutes' progress up the dark tunnel, a distant sound of slowly shifting rock reached Harry's eyes. "Ronnie!" Harry yelled, speeding up. "Ginny's okay! I've got her!" He heard Ron give a strangled cheer, and they turned next to bend his eager face staring through the seasonable gap he had managed to make in the rockfall. "Ginny!" Ron thrust an arm through the gap in the rock to pull her through a fist. "You're alive! I don't believe it! What happened?" He tried to hug her, but Ginny held him off, sobbing. "But you're okay, Ginny," said Ron, beaming at her. "It's over now. Where did that bird come from?" Fawkes had swooped through the gap after Ginny. "He's Dumbledore's," said Harry, squeezing through himself. "And how you got a sword?" said Ron, gaping at the glittering weapon in Harry's hand. "I'll explain that when we get out of here," said Harry, with a sideways glance at Ginny. "But later," Harry said quickly. He didn't think it was a good idea to tell Ron yet, who'd been opening the chamber, not in front of Ginny, anyway. "Where's Lockhart?" "Back there," said Ron, grinning at jacking his head up the tunnel towards the pipe. "He's in a bad way. Come and see." Led by Fawkes, whose side scarlet wings emitted a soft golden glow in the darkness, they walked all the way back to the mound of pipe. Gilderoy Lockhart was sitting there, humming placidly to himself. "His memory's gone," said Ron. "The memory charm backfired. Hit him instead of us. Hasn't got a clue who he is, or where he is, or who we are. I told him to come and wait here. He's a danger to himself." Lockhart peered good-naturedly up at them all. "Hello," he said. "Old sort of place this, isn't it? Do you live here?" "No," said Ron, raising his eyebrows at Harry. Harry bent down and looked up the long dark pipe. "Have you thought of how we're going to back up this?" he said to Ron. Ron shook his head, but Fawkes the Phoenix had swooped past Harry and was now fluttering in front of him. His beady eyes bright in the dark. He was waving his long golden tail feathers. Harry looked uncertainly at him. "He looks like he wants you to grab hold," said Ron, looking expelled. "But you're much too heavy for a bird to pull up here." "Fawkes," said Harry, "isn't an ordinary bird." He turned quickly to the others. "We've got to hold on to each other." Ginny grabbed Ron's hand. "Professor Lockhart," "He means you," said Ron sharply to Lockhart. "You hold Ginny's other hand." Harry tugged the sword and the sorting hat into his belt. Ron took hold of the black of Harry's robes, and Harry reached out and took hold of Fawkes' strangely hot tail. An extraordinary lightness seemed to spread through his whole body, and next second, with a whoosh, they were flying upward through the pipe. Harry could hear Lockhart dangling below him, saying, "Amazing! Amazing! This is just like magic!" The chill air was flying through Harry's air, and before he'd stopped enjoying the ride, it was over. All four of them were hitting the fat floor of Morning Mince's bathroom, and as Lockhart strained his head, he sank the pipe with sliding back into place. Myrtle goggled at them. "You're alive," she said blankly to Harry. "There's no need to sound no disappointed," she said grimly, wiping flecks of blood and slime off his glasses. "Oh, well, I just been thinking. If you had died, you'd have been become to share my toilet," said Myrtle, blushing silver. "Ugh," said Ron as they left the bathroom, for the dark, deserted corridor outside. "Harry, I think Myrtle's got fond of you. You've got competition, Ginny." The tears were still fluttering silently down Ginny's face. "Where now?" said Ron with an anxious look at Ginny. Harry pointed. Fawkes was leading the way, glowing along the corridor. They strode after him, and moments later found themselves outside Professor McGonagall's office. Harry knocked and pushed the door open.